Everyone, welcome. Chimoge here. Welcome to the greatest man alive. Is this my angle? I think this is my angle. Welcome. Thank you to my returning viewers. For the new people, since I've been here recently, I'll give you two things. My introduction. Kabinam no Goha. Span forever my patrilineage and all of their connections. Welcome to my whole lineage. Welcome to all my ancestors. Any evil spirit here, what we get rid of it. Alright. Thank you for joining me. I'm talking about a very serious subject again when I've been talking about the crime committed by ex-Virginia Lieutenant Governor, and I'll just say his name once, Justin Fairfax, a man who rose to high office, but then unfortunately a couple days ago decided to remove, obviously and justly, remove his wife from earth, estranged wife, and then himself. A very horrible crime. Let me walk, and then I'll give you two facts. Anyway, let me give you two facts. First, my government name is Chimoge Chijioke Ibe. Chimoge Chijioke Ibe. That last name is spelled I-B-E. You could look me up, you'll find all my information. At least everything publicly available. I make as much available as I can. Second, I was born in Southeast Washington, D.C. I just want to note this crime did take place in the greater D.C. area. At least, I know not every part of Virginia is in the D.C. area, but I'm pretty sure the location was there. Nonetheless, since Virginia is right near D.C., it does affect the area I was born. I just want to note that. Anyway, I want to make sure I look it up if I'm right. I'm pretty sure Fairfax County is considered the D.C. area. I'll look that up and get back to you. I'm sorry. My local geography isn't always the greatest, but I can be 80% sure of that. But it's just for context. When I lived in the D.C. area, which was most of my life, again I live in Atlanta now. I was in Maryland, so stuff the Virginia side geography wise, forgive me, is a little fuzzier, but it is what it is. Anyway, let me walk. Anyway, let me get into it. This segment, The Greatest Man Alive, is just where I make a point in the title, and I'll restate the title and or the title point, and I'll see what else I can add. The Greatest Man Alive is represented by the number 2. My 1 is the title. My 2 is my restatement of the title and or the title point. And then whatever else I add, that's part of being the God of Thunder. Anyway, that's the idea. But anyway, let me get into it. I've talked about this issue earlier, but I just want to make this point again. Former lieutenant, the former Virginia lieutenant governor, and I want to also note he ran for governor in 2021, but the former Virginia lieutenant governor, and I'll just refer to him as F and or former lieutenant governor F. Again, I don't want to glorify his name. He should not have been in the home. Let me walk. what am I saying here? Since I first talked about this on my live over on Inquiria, check that out. That's one of my other networks. That's where I come to give, well, uh, 'cause I can give my initial opinion here. That's where I do the anger segment. Check that out. Basically, that's where I come in anger, literally to reach a goal and or to get something off my chest in its fullness. Here, I'm more making a more limited point. And then I can expand if I see fit, but I won't expand as much as I do on the anger segment. Anyway, um, the whole point I'm making here is that I've done some more research, and what I found is that former LT Governor F, he was ordered to have vacated the home by the end of April. And because of that, and the context of what was going on, for those of you who don't know or might have missed what I previously said about this, he was living under the same roof as his wife, who he was estranged from. They were in the middle of a divorce proceeding. It was messy. Because of that, in relevant context, I'll say he just should not have been in the home. And when I'm saying that, that's a quick way of saying he should not have been under the same roof as his wife and kids. Let me move. Yeah. So anyway, I've talked before about how, as an alternative to the prison system, we should put people who are convicted of crimes under house arrest. I want to go a bit more into more detail about my philosophy there and how it relates to this. Um, I think really, and again, I say this with all respect to any of the authorities who presided over this issue. But I think the best thing to do is that when someone has been found to have committed a crime, and I just want to note that even though he hadn't been formally convicted of a crime, I would say practically um, he was found to have been criminal if they're saying he should vacate a place he was living. I would say that the goal there is to make sure he doesn't harm anyone else he's near when he's agitated in a closed environment. I think the best way to make sure that happens is to have a situation where the criminal party is said to be under house arrest in the place where they're living, and then anyone else they're living with is provided with a new location to live that is of the same or better quality. Let me move. And the whole reason I'm saying that is because the process of moving a criminal can agitate them and give them an excuse to do more and also give them an opportunity to do more. I would say that is what has happened here, with all due respect. Um, because other reports indicate that he was under financial stress, and I'll go into that in the anger segment I'm about to do on Inquiria. Please check that out. But because of that, it's quite plausible he was afraid he would be without a place to stay. Now, obviously, and this goes without saying, but I'll say it, that does not excuse what he chose to do. That is just some otherworldly evil. But it looks like that stress gave him an excuse. If a situation was created where, he would at least know he's not on the street, and or what other whatever other inconvenience related to moving would happen to him, that excuse is not there. Now, it goes without saying there's some stress related to being under house arrest, but one, um, it's just there are just less excuses for stress if you're living where you're already living than if you're being moved. And two, obviously, if someone's under house arrest, they're being watched, and they're being watched by people who are not in their predetermined victim pool. So it's just a lot harder for them to commit a crime. Let me move. So I think I made my point there. But then, regardless, I want to also turn, again, not to glorify him by putting attention on him, but I just want to turn my eye to the unfortunately now deceased former LT Governor F, and just look at his failure to take personal responsibility. Again, there's no person who can do everything, but if you've been ordered to move out of a place you're living with another person you have a disagreement with, and you know I'm just gonna say you're not feeling like a good person, and I'll just leave it at that because there's not really a good, quick way to articulate what's going on there. But if you're not feeling like a good person, you really should get yourself together and just move if that is what the larger group has told you to do. Staying in a situation where you're not acting well, and I'll leave it at that. Staying in a situation where you're not acting well is not good. And then, of course, the escalation he chose is inexcusable. So I'll leave it at that. And that's really what I have to say. I think I'm just going to walk around here, and then you'll catch me on Inquiria. And again, I want to once again thank all the viewers I've registered. Every view is a blessing. I also want to thank everyone who's commented. Every comment is a blessing. I read comments at my discretion. Please like, share, and subscribe as well. Thank you very much. And also patronize my business, especially buy my art on Patreon. And you can also donate. The links to do everything, including subscribe on Patreon, which is an option as well, are in the About section. Yes, let me walk some more. All right, thanks very much. I'm gonna do an anger segment over on Inquiry, and I'll be going into this issue and how I want to talk about it more in more depth. Thank you very much. See you next time.